why resistance is persistence. People think you have to fight something. People believe you have to resist it. You know, people have been resisting oppression, you know, domination, control by others. Could be family, friends, co-workers, bosses, leaders, you know, da-da-da-da. These are just labels and names to oftentimes cover really what the person is up to. So anyway, why resistance is persistence is because duality, duality, where people are fighting, and the Armageddon is the fight going on in the mind. I have to tell you, yesterday, the most wonderful counseling session I did with a student who had come by to the, my spiritual center in Mount Shasta, California, and came for a session. And it was so great because as she started, and this is her second time to come through and to actually come up from San Diego to come and do some work with me. So anyway, it was like she was so much in her mind, so all the and this, and I'm confused where to go, I was going, whoa. So I got her into the breathing process, which is so powerful, and we got centered in also what she needed and wanted to help her, and then I really called on the Divine Mother. I call Mother, Father, God within, or my source, my partners, my parents, my beloved, my friends, whatever, but is that reservoir resource that we all draw from. It's not that we're empowering it. It doesn't need our power. It is all self-sufficient and self-sustaining. But our power is how that comes through, because we're divine energy. We are energy also creators. You call that then the Shakti, which we some call would be the feminine or the fire, the passion, the life force. So anyway, I got in and did the meditation and everything and turned it over to the divine. This person was just absolute brilliant person who had allowed other people to tell her what to do. And this causes confusion, depression, no motivation, sorrow, all of these things manifesting, because you must be true to who you really are as a divine being for there to be the happiness, the satisfaction, which you call abundance, whatever it may be, in any aspect of your being. And this is all possible for every single person. But what happens is we get into the resistance is persistence, the like, dislike, I want this, I don't want that. And so the mind, this is how the mind hypnotizes, and it keeps us like the swinging of the pendulum of the clock, watching time, watching the clock, and this is why this is called a watch, so you can watch the time, and then you're killing time, or whatever that means to be. But the resistance is I don't want that, so I'm going to stop it. It's just like when I used to be a drinker of alcohol, and I would then say things that were not a good idea. You got the hangover, you got the fighting, and it's just nasty. It's just nasty. So anyway, I would say I'm never going to do this again, but then I would do it again, and couldn't really get what it was. And then the guilt and that stress is all this stuff. It was almost like it was a medicine of some kind, but did not actually solve the problem, which was my own self-torture. And so then we're trying to fight ourselves. Then what I did is I gave up all guilt, and I said, I must be doing this because I need this. And I prayed, I asked, my divine, please, God, would take the desire for this alcohol away from me, because I meant it. I didn't want it. But I knew that I kept trying myself, but I couldn't do it by myself. And if we look at self, that's the God within. So that self, yes. And when you're connected with your partner, you see, you're living in divine harmony, there is nothing to resist, because there's no one or nothing against you, and your full self-expression your beingness, your happiness, your joy, your love, your eternality, your unlimited freedom to be. And what happens is, by not knowing that or actually focusing on that, we tend to be always resisting someone we don't like, resisting this, working against this, fighting for this. When people start telling you to fight, war is not peace, you see. And this conflict then in our minds is then produced in our world. So you have people generating, we're going to resist you, and they resist you, and you're so busy in the fight trying to get rid of what you don't want, and instead of focusing on what you do want. And how you do this and give up the resistance is persistence. You see what you're doing, and that you're being used in some game that you've been playing, that you need an enemy, that you need a war, that you need someone, something always working against you. That's your own self accepting the thoughts and beliefs in the mind in which you're programmed and indoctrinated to believe and accept as true. And then what happens is, instead of being able to experience the fullness of who you are, which if each one of us would do that right now, because that's where it happens, is now, and allow ourselves to then focus on what we really desire, and is that in each moment to experience the joy of our own being. And don't let anybody take your bliss. And bliss is that state that you're naturally in when you're not thinking and torturing yourself in the mind. Old dialogue, what could happen, what didn't happen, what they said, what do they mean by that, what am I going to do, I look all right, is this going to happen, That's where the machine, or the creation is controlling the creator. So you take your power back and you stay centered in your being, and you do your work. That's what these videos are about for you, for me, for all of us, because this is what I focus on and do, and it's like, and I'm grateful for every step, you see. But all of this resistance is persistence. Stop reacting. It's just, and these are, and you back it with meaning and beliefs and energy and fiery emotions. You already got it in that moment of now suffering, bringing all of that into the temple of the divine living God. So if we start with ourselves, then there's only a place to be. You center in your heart, and you do what it takes to keep you. And I'll tell you, the session that this person, she was so smart and so fast, brilliant. She's always known it. She just doubted herself. She was like, whoa, this person is like before, and I got to be part of it. Because when you're in the divine, you're in the space of the miraculous, as a continual moment-to-moment experience. Now, you say, well, do you do nothing if you don't react and you don't resist what's awful? No. You do what is appropriate in every moment, whether it's your work or whatever you're doing, from who you are. The attitude of love and service and the joy, and you're in the joy of your being. Your being miserable doesn't help someone. like studying some of the healings of the Essenes and Yeshua, the teacher of righteousness and great soul to teach us, help the people of that time in that area who had lost vegetarianism, you see. One of the key things about the Vedas and India of ancient times, and many places, especially that Vedic culture, there was no animal slaughter, animal killing, or aiding of animals. They didn't war on others. That was not really what they did, because it was such a beautiful culture or groups of harmony and the divine. And then at one time this group then invaded and brought animal slaughter into that place. But this sense of always resisting, even resisting others in any way, is when you do, say if you want to walk that way and someone stands in your way, walk around them. Build a tunnel under, go above, or disappear it in your own consciousness, and then it can't exist in your world. So what happens, how you are if you're not resisting, because then the problem isn't persisting, because if you resist, it means you believe it's stronger than you. You believe that there's another power working against you, and there isn't. It's the same power, just like water. You can swim in it, or a person can flood their house, or a fire can do good or can do bad. Everything's got a positive and a negative, depending on how it's used. But when you come from the transcendental, above the swing of the duality, you're not participating in the problem, because you have the solution for yourself. And I'll tell you, I wrote my book, Live Your Bliss, when I was around a psychopath, basically. And what I did is I kept myself in the bliss zone through meditation, my chanting, my knowing, whatever I used to get into that sacred space. And I stayed there and did not allow anyone or anything knock me off my spiritual divine center. And one day, boom, 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 it was all over, and I was lifted into another reality, never looking back. If you want something to persist, let the now persist in the pleasure of your soul.